Hey everybody, Garth here from Archisalvage. I thought we'd do a quick episode on some recent sales, so let's jump into it. Okay, I've chosen a Baker's Dozen. You have to forgive me, I'm kind of figuring out how to make this camera work, but the monitor I'm looking at is right directly behind it, so it might not be, exactly perfectly set up or whatever, but we'll get it figured out over time. I've got a nice Baker's Dozen worth of listings for you, which I don't know if is a Baker's Dozen work in Australia the same way? It's a 13 items. So it's a good number, isn't it? Okay, so the first item is this vintage hand-tooled brown leather shoulder bag. This was picked up at a garage sale. This is one of those bulk garage sale buys. Don't usually get this kind of item unless it shows up in abandoned storage. I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it because I don't know enough about this particular subject, but we kind of made a guess and have been dropping it slowly over the last couple months. Took an offer of $30 plus postage. Pretty happy with that sale. Next, we sold this last night. These are uncommon. Like, this is the rarest 5-cent coin in Australia, excepting for varieties or errors or that sort of thing. And it is a higher grade coin, but it's not a great example. These can go for a little bit more money. I don't know what the mint state examples go for, but I would say if you find it in your change and it's not terrible, it should be a $6 to $8 coin generally. This one we accepted an offer of $15 on. Next, I love these. I had a box of these in our shop at Hunted, sort of 2018-ish. The box was, I suppose, that much. We probably had 100 of them in there. I had $8 on the box. I had no idea, knew nothing about it, and it sat and sat and sat. And I said, finally, I just brought it home and said, well, why don't we try putting it on eBay? And came to realize that we got lucky that it didn't sell because I sell these for anywhere from $5 to $25, as you can see. So they're a great item, but they're slow. This next one is these SAS security handbooks. They sold them. I was going to sell them individually, but the price point wasn't quite enough, so I just bulked it up, and $50 plus postage for that. That did take a while to sell. This next one's kind of a fun one. Not a big dollar item in any way, but these Chuck E. Cheese tokens do all right. They don't last long when we put them up. Usually gone within I suppose, a couple weeks typically. So this next one's a bit of an oddball one. Occasionally I get supplies of some kind. I've done springs for trampolines. Those have gone. That just a little box of trampoline springs netted us several $100s by selling it in a pack of 6 for however much money. So you can go and you can buy 2 springs for $10, but why? That's still going to cost you a bit of money to post. So as a seller, what's the right number of them to put into a group? We did the same thing with hinges. I think we did 20, or I think it was 20. These were just mild steel, no finish hinges. This was back a few years ago. We had tubs full that we got from an auction, and they were actually they took a long time, but once people knew they were there, they would go quickly. And over COVID, they sold really well. I think probably because people did a lot of stuff in the backyard, and they were useful in that way. Much cheaper than buying them at Bunnings, but you have to get to that price point where you're making a decent amount of money. So it was 20 or 40, I forget how many we had. But in this case, these steel discs are from a scrapyard that was near where we were, and the offcuts from a local manufacturer were there all the time. And usually it's an odd shape, but in this case it was circles. I thought, well, maybe they're interesting. Kept them for a long time for a project, and finally listed them here a few years ago, and they have sat for a long time, but they're in a tin, not bigger than a typical Folgers coffee tin. And we just sold 2 lots for $40, $20 per lot here the other day, and they'll just sit there, and when we sell again, they sell again. But there's like $300 just in that little tin. Those kinds of things work really well for us, and it is worth looking out for that if you find an opportunity to get something like that. Next is this stamp catalog, and I brought it up more as a don't buy this kind of thing. We didn't buy this, we didn't go out to buy this. This was part of abandoned storage. They'll sell, and we have a few stamp books. The older style, where they're talking about a specific kind of federal period or whatever. I'm not that versed on stamps, but they seem to do better for us than these generic catalogs. This one we sold here the other day. I'm happy to sell it, but it's extremely slow. So Next is this German book, hardcover. Not a topic that I'm particularly interested in, but it took a few months. We got $40 for it. I'm pretty happy with that. Next is this Sydney Olympic silver $5 coin. We could have waited. With this kind of thing, the market is pretty well figured out. So usually I try to list right along where everybody else is listing, and even at that price, they do sell for $119.95. But it had been sitting for a few months, and I thought, well, someone offered me $100, and I thought, yeah, that's reasonable. We'll just accept that. So next, I wanted to talk about older isn't necessarily better. So, for instance, this coin is going on 170 years old, and it's got lots of problems, but even in a really good shape, it's still not necessarily a great coin. So, older doesn't necessarily mean valuable. In this instance, this is a big coin, chunky, thick, and still only worth $12, and took a while to get that for it. On the flip side of that, there are rarities that will not last long. This one we got tons of offers on, and we had two of them. I think they were up for a month or two, and we got lots of lowball offers. People will try to get this coin for cheap, but it is if it's X mint set, it's easily worth this kind of money. If it is in the mint set, I don't know. I've never cut a coin out of the mint set, but if you get into this stuff and you go looking for mint sets, you'll see it often. The 1983 set will often be missing the 20-cent coin, and sometimes they just pull it out of the PVC, and sometimes it's actually cut out. In this case, they were just in their own flips, so I'm not sure what happened there, but someone had pulled them from the mint set. So next one is going to be Bruce Springsteen. We've been trying to bundle lately, but you have to be careful, and one of these was an older listing, and I had forgotten how big it was. This was not a great deal for us. I think we took an offer of $30, but the shipping was $17 because the book was quite large, and I wasn't real happy with that, but it is what it is. I was happy to see it go. Last item, we got this at auction in Melbourne with something, I can't remember. Oh yeah, the other thing is this large timber vase. When we buy at auction, we either are wanting things we know a lot about, or we want to be paying very little for things we know nothing about. So this is one of those nothing about kind of situations where no one wanted it. It was 2 items. Both of them were a bit chunky, and I think it was $10 or $15 paid plus premium. This one sold for $79.95 plus shipping, and the person that was interested bought it from Germany. We sent it to Germany. Didn't have too many problems. I have sent things overseas before, but I don't generally like doing it. There have been problems in the past. I know there are a lot of resellers that say sell internationally, and that's fine if you want to figure that out for your business as a general rule. Okay, that's fine, but I've had problems with it, so maybe it's improved in the past. This one didn't take too long to get to the customer, so that was good. I think that's going to be it for us today. I just want to talk through a few recent sales. There haven't been a lot, but it is picking up for us, and if I actually do some listing, we might do even better, but that remains to be seen. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well, and if you did enjoy today's video, really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up, possibly think about subscribing if you haven't, and we'll talk to you next time.